Hi, I'm George Nordhaus, and welcome to Monday Morning. This is going to be some memorable presentation. I can promise you that. How do I know that? Because I've been working with Mike Carroll for a while, and it's just absolutely amazing what he's doing. You're going to learn so much today that you're going to be scary. I'm sorry, Mike, I hope I'm not putting you up against the wall here, but
Not at all, George.
attaboy. Mike has an 84% closing ratio. Would I kid you? 84%. Are you ready for that? It's all on communications, and he has, we have old-fashioned communications and new-fashioned communications, and I'm not sure where we go from here or what we do, but in communications, but it sure is fun, and it's growing and growing and growing. And well, let me tell you about Mike, and I'll tell you what he's done, and then you're gonna, well, you'll see. I'll just leave it at that now. Now, Michael Carroll is in Ohio. He was born in Maine, but he moved to Toledo. He's got a family there. He's been 27 years in this business. He's an amazing guy because he sees things a little bit different than most of us. He sees them in terms of niches. And if I have ever seen a niche marketer any better than this, I don't know who it is, because he has zeroed in. We're going to go to one of the niches today, talk about it, and show you how he does it. But he was zeroed in, and he's followed all of the rules, of which there were none. He made up his own. Eventually, I'll tell you how good they were. They got the best practices agency performance. He's one of those. I like what Mike put. I said, how's that? He said, well, it's equivalent to being in the top 5 college football program year in, year out, or perennial Super Bowl contender. How'd you come up with that? Don't even tell me. I don't want to know. That's pretty good. That is funny. Anyway, they got an office in Phoenix and in Ohio, and he's going to talk about, well, let's just go on into it. He's going to tell about his agency marketing system and how, and as a matter of fact, he's going to tell us how you can zero in just like he has done, maybe even on the same niche. Mike, let's go to your market. How's it all start? What's going on?
It began way back in the day, in the mid to late 90s. I remember reading one of the industry magazines. I don't know if it was the Independent Agent magazine or National Underwriter. One of those two. Could have been Rough Notes. I don't know. But anyway, I read an ad in the back of the, toward the back. It was a full-page ad, and it was this, full-page advertorial, as they're called, advertorial. And I read it, and the kicker to me was, guaranteed money back, if, this, that, and the other. And I love proving, I love challenges. So I'm like, what do I have to lose? And my Italian-Irish heritage, I said, I'm good at fighting, so if this thing is hokey, I like a good fight. It's in my DNA. So I signed up for it, and the fellow that put that on was a guy by the name of Michael Jans, and he, so I signed up. And the big thing that he touted at the time, Jans is obviously a Dan Kennedy disciple, and he touted specializing. If you wrote more than 5 accounts in a certain area of practice or risk or class of business, whatever you like to call it, you were an expert. And I thought, hey, okay, I was something I liked were restaurants. I was a member of the Northwest Ohio Restaurant Association, the Ohio Restaurant Association, and we may have insured 25 restaurants at the time. So I said, gosh, I'm like 5 times expert if you follow 5 times 5. So he said, you do a high impact marketing, but you specify a niche, because as the world is becoming, the generalists are going to become an outdated breed. And I remember, a lot of my peer group thinking, oh, that's chicken little, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And everyone thought I was stupid and hokey, and that's all garbage, and this guy's just after your money, and blah, blah, blah. So I did a thing. I got a list of restaurants from the Ohio Restaurant Association, and that was back when the fax machine, this is 1998, and so we're talking 18 years ago, and I did a broadcast fax to 100 restaurants, which cost me a whopping like $25, okay, with setup cost and the expense, and we ended up getting 12 respondents, and we wrote 8 of them.
Wow.
A realized commission of around $9,000. Now, that's obviously not life-changing money, but it was a very small sample. And I said, are you kidding me? A little, that return on a $25 investment, and the rest is history. And of course, we started increasing that to, thousands of faxes. And then I got endorsed by the Ohio Restaurant Association and went on to the National Restaurant Association, and the rest is history. So we had tons and tons of success with restaurants, and that was my first niche. The only, to kind of follow up on that, insurance companies, as many of your listeners today, George, will attest, insurance companies get really weird when it comes to restaurants. They're gung-ho today, and with it, kind of like when the Indianapolis Colts, or the Baltimore Ravens, if you will, the Cleveland Browns moved to Indianapolis, and Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis. It was like the middle of the night. They pack up the trucks and head west or head east. In the Browns case, the original Browns went to Baltimore. The original Colts went to Indy. Same idea, They was just insurance companies. They get really cold feet and they start non-renewing it. So, and the next level was I did so well at one niche and we were killing it. But then when the insurance companies started getting weird, yes, we had numerous companies that would write it. But I thought, let's say they all woke up and were stupid on the same day, if you will. And they all wanted to, fold up. They all wanted to pull a Baltimore Colts and move to Indy. What would I do? And the answer was, I'd be in a lot of pain. So I said, let's go for a second niche. And my second niche then were pizza franchises. And I was able to partner with numerous companies, showing them the loss control initiatives we put on there, and got preferred insurers to write the delivery liability. And I know a lot of your listeners, George, will be freaking out and saying, holy smokes, how did that happen? But if you can show that pizza franchise A is run like a real business and they have great controls, insurance companies are not, I just kind of cut on them a little bit there on restaurants. But if you have a great relationship with the underwriting department, at that point there, they'll listen, and if it actuarially makes sense, they'll take a chance on it for a big opportunity. So pizza franchises became number two niche. Well, over time, we grew that business so much, and we were so profitable that and I shouldn't say this, but the insurance companies almost like, oh, this is getting too big. And there's always some naysayer or a group of naysayers within any underwriting department that have the Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh mentality that, oh no, it's going to be a big loss. So we grew in that book in the millions, and they just said, hey, we feel we've grown enough of that. Why you wouldn't want to continue to grow a single digit loss ratio class of business is beyond me. But long story short, again, not in my control. So I said, let's create another niche. And my third and final niche, to finally answer your question, is going to be with lawyers. And lawyers are a group of folks, both male and female, that are very direct. They're decision makers. The 1 to 10 lawyer size law firms is very underserved within the insurance industry. It's frankly an underpriced product. If anyone knows that area of practice or class of business like I do, really the minimum premium should be 10 grand. But of course, the firms that pay hundreds of thousands a year are underwriting the firms that pay $2,000 a year. No different than 16-year-old Billy or Julie, getting their license on regular old personal lines car insurance. Even though the rates are so much higher than, say, your rate or my rate, George, is a couple of, mature gentlemen at that point there. Yeah, you're welcome, both of us. But that being said, we are, at some level, what we pay is actually inflated. So it wouldn't be so, a 16-year-old should be double what they pay currently. And it's just one of those deals where, that's how that goes. So it helps offset it. But lawyers have been my favorite niche. The industry, there's so many different pieces to that. You have the professional liability, you've got the BOP, you've got with the data breach, you've got the EPLI if they're a big enough firm, the work comp, of course. There's just a lot of good stuff there, and it's a very lucrative class of business. But the insurance companies, the professional liability, there's plenty enough that write it and write it well. And ultimately, we've grown so much in that space and done so profitably that we've been able to get a couple of exclusive programs with a couple of A-plus rated, well-known insurers to write the professional liability for us. And of course, the BOP, the work comp, with the data breach, going back to the BOP with the data breach cyber extension off of that. It's been, those are easy. Everyone, their brother writes a law office. But that being said, it's been great. Yeah, niche is the only way to go. And then to tie it up in a bow is the upsell from that, of course, George, is the personal line. So for everyone listening today that's beating their head against the wall, how do I beat Progressive? How do I beat Geico? How do I beat State Farm? The answer is you start with one niche, something that you like, something that you've written 5, that your companies like to write, and you become a personality in that industry. You go for it and you build it from there, and then once you're successful there, you can expand it to either a related niche or a completely different niche like I have with lawyers, and you're on your way after that. I mean, you never look back, but your personal lines upsell, because again, if they trust you with their business, of course they're going to trust you with their personal lines. And how many of these people on their personal lines have had, when you see them, with 100, 300, and they own, they have a law practice where they're doing millions of dollars a year in revenues, or a restaurant where they're doing 2.2 million. You just see that and they're like, oh, I never looked at it that way. It just renews every year. That's how you can get in the door and really come off as a professional.
Well, one of the things, yeah, I agree with you, and that's a beautiful analysis of niche. Hope people listen to that. But what you've done, though, also, the thing that really makes this thing work is the way you run your agency and the way you communicate with all of those people. Let's tell about that just a little bit. Want to?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's start here. I like this thing. Go ahead. You tell us how. Yeah, all this comes together, doesn't it? Because what we're about to see, no matter what niche you're in, this goes in. The system is for all of those niches, I believe.
Yeah, you got it. Well, it's the old adage, and Michael Jans begat Michael McLean. Michael McLean now is the coach for property insurance, property and casualty insurance professionals. And McLean has been a great. He and I are the dearest of friends, as many people know. That's no secret. But he and I, bounce ideas off of each other. And I will add that everyone listening, if you don't listen to Monday Morning Markets, if you don't have a George Nordhaus in your world, or a Michael McLean in your world, or a mastermind group of professionals who understand what business is all about, from the marketing, from the hiring, and all those things, you're going to struggle. So I am nothing more than someone who is not afraid to bare my soul and to try things and to test things, okay? And that's it. So this is a great, you're welcome. And this is a great tool that Michael McLean, he got it from his father, who, like my father, in their early 80s and still work. My father's in the investment business. He's in the process of winding down his career as he's selling out his, lucrative practice after a long career. And so he and mom, I don't know what my dad's going to do at 84 when he's done in 2 years, but he and my mother will, continue to travel and this, that, and the other. Maybe he'll come, maybe I'll be lucky enough I could hire him possibly. He's that talented and he's my hero. But Frank McLean, Michael's father, always wrote handwritten notes. And, everyone listening, not everyone, but a lot of people listening are like, that's stupid. That's old-fashioned. Come on, man, just send a quick email or text them or something like that. And I'll tell you this much, I will say everyone listening, who doesn't love to get in the mail a handwritten card, whether it be a thank you note, a birthday card, something like that. So on the slide you have up right now, George, every new client we get, I personally, as the owner of the place, take the time to handwrite a letter. Hi, George. Thanks a million for your business. And you see the $1 million bill at the bottom of that.
Yep.
It's a little cut off, but it's got my picture on it. You can have a local printer do it. You can order it online. But people love the $1 million bills. They'll ask for extras to give their kids or grandkids, and that because they'll fool with a waitress or a waiter at a restaurant. Hey, here's your tip, young man or young lady or something like that. But it's a great conversation piece. But it's the idea that when it eliminates that buyer's remorse, because the minute they get it, no one is writing thank you notes anymore. People rarely say thank you. How many times have any of us gone to a restaurant and you say, you ask the waitress, hey, could I have another glass? Could you refill my water, please? And their response, no problem. No problem? What the hell is that? No problem. I'm paying you. The answer should be absolutely, sir, or coming right up, sir, or this and that. It's the same idea on thank you. When you thank someone for something, you should always thank your clients, especially right after they made a purchase, because they're leaving someone. The business is leaving one of us. Let's call it what it is. So you better make that a deal. And people are relatively nice, and man, I feel bad. I've been a client of Bill's for years. I've been a client of Julie's for years. gosh, if I see them at the church or the country club or wherever they may bump into them, or maybe they're going to call me and I'm going to feel like a heel, or this and that, that eliminates that all the way. When that thank you card shows up in their mail, handwritten, with that $1 million bill, and right there, they are going to say, right there on the spot, they're going to say, I made the right decision, and they'll be confident in the decision they made. So
Well, that's a beautiful
big
thing.
time thing.
Oh, I love it. I should be doing it more. I learned something from you right there. You've got a renewal situation, which I think is amazing too.
Yeah, it's a same exact card. It's a picture of me sitting at a desk writing. So, everyone, hey, that day, get your hair cut, maybe go out in the sun, or go to a tanning salon, put on your best suit, shave, all that good stuff. If you're a male, women, of course, always look like $1 million. It's us guys, we like to let the scruff go and this and that. If we don't have appointments, we'll come in and flip-flops and what have you, and hide, from the staff so they don't see you look like the homeless guy scurrying in. Like, I'll come in the back way. No one knows I'm here. But the point is that when we have a renewal card, but on the front of the card is a picture of me writing. It says thanks a million at the bottom. But then we put in there, it's pre-printed. My handwriting is pre-printed, and it's what I want to say on the card. Thanks a million for your continued business. It's a pleasure serving you all these years. And then if I feel at the very top, I can put PS, and you cannot, unless you're a forensic, expert,
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I just put in hi George, and I handwrite that in, or hi Jane, or whoever it is, and you just can't tell. And if, like I said, if it's someone I just saw recently at a kid's ball game or at mass, or or somewhere at an event, I can put PPS, great to see you, and Jane, George, you look great, or hey, whatever, and those things, again, it's that extra
Personality.
difference.
God.
Yeah, you got it. And it helps with referrals and retention.
That is so neat. Is this the front of the card? The picture?
Yeah, that's actually the front of the card. Yeah, that's got our key staff people there. We call it Happy Insureversary. That's exactly right. There's a picture of Bronco on the far left, my bride in the middle, me, big head next to me. Everyone says I look like President Obama there, which is okay. And then Stacy on the right.
Yep.
But my point is, and then we have a free meal card. So we partner with a local restaurant, and everyone listening, I promise you, a restaurant that's a client of yours, or if you're not even into restaurant insurance, business insurance, restaurant business insurance, I guarantee you have a favorite restaurant. And if you go to them, you say, look, this is a loss leader. Give me your
best price,
most reasonable meal. Yeah, your most reasonable meal, and give it away for free. And it says sit down required, purchase a beverage required too. So even the one we partner with is a great Mexican restaurant. He gives away 3 free tacos. I don't pay anything for it, but Sergio knows that who is going to come in there by themselves, sit down, order 3 tacos, and order a Coke or a beer. Even if they order a Coke and a beer, they're going to about break even, But usually, what are they going to do? Let's say they just did that. The experience is going to be so good, they're going to come back because they're going to be like, hey, they didn't give me a hassle. I ate my 3 free tacos. I drank my Coca-Cola or my 1 beer, and no one looked at me, like I was a leech or a taker or something. And they'll be like, hey, those tacos were good. I'm gonna bring my girlfriend back, or a few of the, after softball, I'm gonna bring the whole team here. Or I'm gonna bring my wife and kids here. If it's a female, I'm gonna bring my husband or boyfriend. Whatever the case may be. It's one of those deals where it's just Sergio's like, Mike, you can't give enough of those things out. So you don't have to pay anything for it. Yeah.
Marketing 101. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, that's a beautiful idea. And then you've got the birthday cards. I like that too.
Yeah, the birthday card, another big deal. We've got it where there's some more of the staff there, happy birthday. It's got specialized and for personalized, I should say. Dean is the originator of this is a fellow I think George, Dean Killingbeck. He's a great Dan Kennedy disciple, and Dean is retired now, but he had a company, new customers now. I was sad to see him go, but that being said, we've taken this project in-house with our printer, which is fine. We've got the staff to do it, but any printer can do this. But you see it's a hand stamp. That's my handwriting on the front. They've got the font to it. We've done the same thing in-house with our printer.
Wow.
We have our own printer in-house. But yeah, it's a birthday card. And then we have a giveaway. There it is. It's a fancier restaurant, but that's my hand font right there. Dean Killingbeck is who I use. It's got some of the key staff signing it. If they're from out of town, since we do business on a national basis, we send a Starbucks card. locally in Northwest Ohio, where I'm nationally domiciled in the Toledo, Ohio area. George, we have it. It's a fancy meal. It's up to a $23 value, and it's just. And the day of the birthday, someone from the office calls.
Oh my gosh!
A phone
That's
call.
amazing.
It's
Amazing.
just, hi George. Yeah,
Happy
hi
birthday.
George. This is Stacy. Amanda, Susie, whoever, Bronco, Kaylee. Or what have you. If everyone's gone, I'll even pick up the phone. The danger with everyone knows with me is you don't want to get on the phone with me because I like to talk.
Oh no! I didn't notice that. Oh my God!
Yeah, exactly. They make me want to get off the phone. But the point is, they just say, just calling to wish you a happy birthday. You'll have a great day. No, hey, can you send me a referral? No, just short and sweet. And people they're blown away and they're like, wow, thanks. And because everyone says over the age of 21 or 25, it's not a big day. Like hell, it isn't a big day. Everyone loves to be acknowledged on their birthday.
Absolutely.
It always starts with mom and dad. Yeah, and so whatever. And as we get older, mom and dad go meet their maker. So, it even becomes a bigger day. And it's nice to be acknowledged by someone you pay your hard-earned money to get a gift out of it, and to just get that phone call follow-up. And people always, if it isn't a voicemail is left, they'll say, hey, by the way, thanks for that card, oh my God, and thanks for the meal. And it just creates, again, retention and ultimately referrals.
I was going to ask you about
no one is doing.
I bet your retention level is huge, high, very high.
94.7% is what it is.
Brother, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Now, I know I've talked to you before. You don't like to quote, do you?
Oh, no. Quoting is not what we do. So this is why we have such a high closing ratio. So this is something we send this is on commercial, since we do that, lawyers is where I spend the majority of my time, but Bronco does the restaurant. But our quotes are delivered like this. And we even do that with new business and renewal. We're up, there's a 12 by 12 box. You get it from Uline, ULINE.com. You can order these boxes. They're cheap. We put it, the binder in there. We've crossed off the names to protect the innocent. We fill it with goodies. That's my branded flavored popcorn. We have every flavor. We try new ones. We've got from peanut butter and chocolate to Buffalo Wild Wings or Buffalo Wings, kind of a hot, spicy thing. But when they open that box, whether it be at their home, if it's mailed to their home, most of the times it's to the office, obviously, but on a personal lines new business, we'll mail it to their home. It's a welcome kit. But even on a quote, this is where it gets different. I like to call it quote analysis is what I like to do. But the point is, when they get it, when it's open at their office, for example, don't you think Bertha, who gets the mail, or Myrtle, when they do that, it's like, whoa, my God. And, who doesn't like popcorn, flavored popcorn? I know some people don't, but most people do.
I do.
And, yeah, exactly. And it just creates excitement. You're not one of the regular, don't let, Applied Systems or, all these different agency software management things. And I use Preston Diamond's 6 cents proposal, which is it's outstanding. I've used it for 20 years, but my point, almost 20 years, 17, 18 to be exact. But my point is very simply that even as great as Preston's paper analysis is that comes in the binder, that still isn't enough to stand out. It's better than anything out there from Applied and AFW or whatever they're called today. But what it comes down to, when this comes in, they've never seen anything like that. And then guess what kicks in? The law of reciprocity. They're like, you know what? My insurance broker has never given me, anything, other than a bill, or maybe an email. Thanks for your business. We write to thank you for your business. Some lame email. When they get this, they're like, you know what? This guy is. I wonder why he's nationally recognized.
Is that the quote down there on the white? That's the written
we
quote.
Put it in a binder. Yeah.
A binder. Yeah. How neat is that? Whoa, I love this kind of system. That's your 84%. Now it's coming out.
You got it.
Wow, that's the closing. That is phenomenal. Wow.
Thanks. Yep.
Well, you're in the book business too, in a way. I mean, I'm being a little facetious about that. Tell us about the book system.
Yeah. Here we go. There's one right there, The Naked Auto and Homeowner. That's our personal lines book. I started with the restaurant. Pizza was number 2, lawyer 3, and then the personal lines 4, and that's the one showing right now. But I was at a mastermind meeting back in April of 2011 down in Tampa. Michael McLean's Ultimate Millionaire Agent, and there's a Kennedy guy there. He was a guest. He's a Canadian like Michael McLean. Dr. Barry Lycka, Lycka. If you Google him, folks, you're going to see a marketing machine. And doc, I had no idea who he was, and he's very unassuming looking, and I was kind of like, who's this guy? You know what I mean? He's got white hair, and his skin is almost the color of his hair. Well, he's a cosmetic surgeon, and like all cosmetic surgeons and dermatologists, they're the color of Casper the Ghost because the sun is the enemy, right? I'm always the tan guy. I'm Italian. The sun's good to me. I always like to have a tan. But, he even kind of gave me some grief about that. He does say, you need to stay out of the sun, he says. But anyway, I thought the guy was kind of like just kind of judging a book by its cover. I thought, this guy? Who's this? Just not to be a jerk or a judgmental guy, but I was like, this guy, who is it? I don't know this guy. I know almost all the guys in the room. There just happen to be all guys at this meeting. And, and then when he stood up to talk, he talked about writing a book, and then I found out he was a doctor and a cosmetic surgeon. I was like, oh, nice. I thought this guy, had an agency that did $83,000 a year in revenues, out of, Idaho or something, or Montana, or, oh yeah. Now this guy, then I find out he's a cosmetic surgeon. He makes millions of dollars a year. Paul Abdul's his client. All these different. I'm like, okay, this guy, I could, maybe he'd hire me to be his janitor, and as well as I do. But the whole point is, and I listened, I hung on every word, and what he said was, you are not truly an expert until you write a book. And I said, and afterwards I chatted him up, and he said, hey, I don't want to hear any excuses. You get back, you got 60 days to write a book, because he could tell I'm a doer. He said, you got 60 days to write a book. And what he did, he said, go on, the thing at the time, I forget what it was called, Elance. Elance is what it was called. Now it's called Upwork, Upwork.com. He said, find a ghostwriter, because he goes, she'll, or he or she, and it turned out to be a she, will condense your thoughts. So I did an interview on the for restaurants, and I put it together, and, in 60 days, I went, and he's led me to his publisher, which was out of Canada, which I've since switched to the States, to get a different publisher, but just closer, a little more price effective. But the neat thing was this: between paying the ghostwriter, the publisher, and the whole thing, I was able to write a 100-page book with illustrations. Mike Capuzzi, the Copy Doodles guy, his illustrator, cartoonist, drew pictures inside of it for me. They're kind of comical, to keep it light and such. But the whole thing out the door was $2,000. And then I was able to duplicate. No, $2,000. And here's the best part: when I get books, I pay minimum order of 100. They're like $3 a book. So when I make an order of 100 books, it's $300. I mean, they're cheap, and I've got a handwritten card. So as you look at the envelopes here, the whole thing, there's the book in the top middle. To the top left is a bookmark that I've had. Those are like 50 cents a piece. To the top right is a postcard where I handwrite, hi George, as requested, here's your book, or if I ran into you, great to see you. I just thought you might like a copy of my book. It is the greatest quote-unquote business card that ever lived. There's the best practices, tear sheet in the bottom right corner, and then that envelope, that's right out of the Capuzzi world of copy doodles, cartoon, and you handwrite the name. And then we now send a book. That was effective, and that would get open, which is the key. But I said to myself, our closing ratio on the books was like 62%. And I thought, 38% of the people, 4 out of 10 approximately, get my book and don't act on it. And I'm not one that really sends books out saying, hey, great to see you at an event, because that's not really but these are people that have requested my books. The numbers I'm giving you are someone who said, I want your book. And believe me, if you're listening today and you want a book, I'm not going to send it to you for free. I'm just not. I'm not in the business of it. I'm not a charity. If you want a copy of my book, just pay for it, and that's it. And we'll send you the whole caboodle. And you'd be shocked. Let me digress, so everyone listening, that I'll charge you $29.99. You can pay it online or send me a check, whatever you like. 9 out of 10 of my peers are so cheap. They try to come in. They'll use their wife's name. They'll this and that. I mean, it's like, come on, folks, really? Come on. You can't pony up $30 freaking dollars. Okay, that's how cheap our peer group can be, George. And I don't expect you to agree with that. I'm just sharing my experience.
No, I understand.
When it's legitimately a restaurant owner, a pizza franchisee, or a lawyer, we send out at 62, 4 out of 10. I was like, well, what's wrong with you people? My book is, and they just don't even reply. I have a whole follow-up system where we ask for the X date. but they just go radio silent. So what did we do? Backing up a couple slides, I'm not asking you to do that, George, but what we did, we sent it in the box with the balloon and the popcorn. Now our closing ratio is going back into the 80 percentile range because, again, they're like, holy crap, I just requested a book. I just got a box full of goodies. You know, a helium balloon pops out, popcorn. But we still put it in the envelope and the whole 9 yards.
Are you sending it
writing a book?
Are you sending it to your prospects? I mean, like restaurants. Would you send that?
Prospects, yeah.
You're not charging them anything, though.
No, absolutely not. For every prospect, it is free. It's a loss leader, absolutely.
All right. Yep. Oh, that's. I love the idea. You got other books here now. What's this one?
Yeah. There's The Naked Lawyer. That's still you just saw the personal lines book.
Yeah.
Here's The Naked Lawyer. The Naked Lawyer. Same exact. You know, it's all the same marketing because, again, a restaurateur is never going to see the lawyer's book, and the stories are very similar in the book.
Yeah.
The format is the same. After I wrote that first book with restaurant, I then just really did the editing, and I just created and just got the illustrator. There's the pizza right there. That's the pizza, and then probably the last one, if we showed, will probably be the restaurant.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, there it is. There's the restaurant. Yep.
Okay, got it.
And we're just in a So that's it. So that's the whole idea with it. But it's a whole process to it. We've got a tracking system. You know, we follow up when we send it via courier. Then we know you received it, and then I can follow up with an email, and I just say, hey, I saw you received my book. It's a two-sentence, I put 2 paragraphs, 1 sentence each. And the second is just to say, hey, I saw you received that, you know, as requested, blah, 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 and just asking, you know, when your X date is. And into the 80th percentile, actually it's 91% reply and say, you know, hey, I'm with, you know, Hanover and it expires in January. And that's gold to us, as we know. Then we put them on our newsletter list. They're on my holiday email campaign because between, let's say it's now July, if we just go radio silent and follow up with them in mid to late November, say they had a 1/1 renewal, you know, they're going to be like, who's that guy again? You know, 4.5 months from now is like an eternity when people get busy with their lives. They won't remember you, but when they get your monthly newsletter, the hard copy monthly newsletter, oh yeah, they know who you are and they're very expecting your call and they're excited because they feel they owe you from, you know, what you sent them.
You know, when we first talked about this, and I said old-fashioned, new-fashioned, I started to think this is old-fashioned, but it's really not old-fashioned. It's kind of new-fashioned in the extent that that people want to be communicated with. They like it, they love it, and that's kind of new-fashioned because of the the internet and so forth. All right, well, let's shift gears to the lawyer thing because that's that's what got my attention to begin with.
Yeah.
What's this all about?
Yeah, here's a CLE class that I do. I have a beautiful building I built back in 2000, but my father-in-law built that. Gene Sisniak, the former All-Big Ten fullback at Michigan in the late 50s. But yeah, Gene's still alive and well at 79. He still looks like he could, you know, eat glass for breakfast and nails for supper. He's a big brute, the Yugoslavian, but first generation, but a tough guy, old school. But he built this building, and with it in mind, I have this great conference room. So locally, I host a CLE, which is continuing legal education, no different than all of us, you know, on today's call, which we call continuing education for us in the insurance industry. But yeah, I mail this out. This is a 9x12 postcard that I mail out via the Toledo Bar, and you can see it's personalized marketing. I mean, look at the front of it, the little kid in a suit and a tie, and it's personalized. It's got his first, you know, if it was you, George, instead of Jonathan on the 4th line on the left, it would say, George, you know, you're telling me there's not going to bore me and it's free. See, because everyone charges for it. And then it's, you know, it's a 3-hour class. They get 3 hours of CLE. You know, most of these folks know me, but we have finger foods here. They get to see our beautiful facility. And, you know, it's a license to see.
Who teaches?
Copy my book.
Are you teaching?
I teach it. I'm approved by the Ohio Supreme Court. Yeah, I teach it. I get up there for 3 hours and, yeah, teach the class. And, you know, if we get, you know, occasionally someone will say, hey, man, what do you think about the Patriots? You know, or, it's, you know, because it's always everyone in Ohio,
everybody.
Where I hold these. Yeah, well, at that point, it's at the end of the year. So everyone waits until the end, kind of like our industry, you know. Some states it's based on their date of birth or whatever when their license renews. But in Ohio, for lawyers, it's just a calendar year. So you've got all these people at the last minute rushing. So it's always December, November range. And that's, you know, right in the heart of football season, whether it be college and or pro. So occasionally it gets a little off topic, but that's okay. And the Supreme Court realizes that. But
Oh yeah.
long story short, yeah, they sent a mole once, and when it got done, they wrote a whole report, and they said that was arguably the finest CLE class ever. They said it was interesting, it was fun. We should have more. You should teach more CLE classes.
I've never heard of this, Michael. I've never heard of any insurance agent doing this in my life. I mean, that is fantastic. What a move that was. All right, well, let's move.
Yeah.
You've got so much good stuff here. I want to spend more time. Newsletters.
Yeah, newsletters. As I shared a few minutes ago, whenever we get a lead in X state, we put it in. That right there is the general newsletter, the house newsletter, as I call it. It's got all the niches in the top right corner on the left there. But it's just we have one every month. We go to the theme of the month. Obviously, October is going to be Halloween. And, the front is fun. It's got my mother, who's from Sicily. My dad was a fighter pilot. That's how I met my mother. She didn't come here until she was 23. She's still at 76. She has, less gray hair than I do. She's got great Italian genes, Sicilian genes.
There you go.
She has great, Italian recipes, and what have you. Luckily, all her boys are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", like I am. So we can eat a lot and not be really fat. If I was 5'6", I'd be 250, but at 6'6", I can carry it well. So
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just a little guy. I'm only 6'4", so.
You're right. Yeah, that's right. You love the college basketball star that you are. Come on, Mr.
That was old days. That was a long time ago. Now let me ask you something.
But,
who does this for you? Who writes all this?
We were using Dean Killingbeck to do that, but what we did, we've taken that in-house since Dean retired. So I have the staff do it. I do the writing on the slide on the right, that left column there. That's what I write. I mean, boy, that's a lot for me to come up with. I mean, come on, folks. That takes me like 15 minutes, and I have someone internally. But any printer can do this. Just do a personality. If you don't have a mother, heaven forbid she's passed, which, I'm so fortunate. Most of my friends, their mother and father are both, like that. I'll be 53 this fall. Yeah, so I'm very grateful, and I enjoy every day with them, and I live right by them, and that's not an accident. That's all by design. But my point is, and I'm the oldest, so I love my folks a ton, like we all do. But my point is very simply, if you don't have a mother that's alive, or she's a terrible cook or whatever, if you love dogs like you and I do, George, you could have a little something. I have 3 Labradoodles. You've got a Labradoodle. I mean, you can use anything in there. If you're a cook, if you're just something that's fun. People. This comes in, it's a 9x12 postcard. They can't ignore it. It's colorful. It's right in front of their face. People tell me all the time, they're like, yeah, I read it. It's easy to read. It has shelf life in the whole 9 yards. So,
I love them. Can I get on that, or is there a cost to the kid?
No, absolutely. I'll put you on the house newsletter. And the interesting thing is I've got one for every niche. So I've got for the lawyer prospects.
Wow, my God.
The call to action is different. Yeah. Lawyer prospects, restaurant prospects, pizza prospects. Then we've got the client newsletter because, what is it, 87% of our commercial clients have their personal lines with us, and why wouldn't they? The other 13%, I'm angry they don't have it because I feel we should have 100%.
What a great number that is. All right, moving forward. $50 referral fee. Now, what's that?
Yeah. In Ohio, unfortunately, we can only give away value up to $50. So I thought, a $50 gas card, how boring. You can't even do an annual drawing for a big screen TV. I mean, it's borderline in Ohio due to the bureaucrats.
I understand.
So, but you can't give $50 away. So I've got a referral program that as long as they get a quote, and obviously they can't be, it cannot be contingent on their referral becoming a client or not. That would not be within compliance. So what we do is we give them a $50 bill. If they're close, which most are not, we mail it again in that infamous 12x12 U-line box with the helium balloon. You see the balloon again. If I'm anything, I am consistent.
Right.
But then we have it, and they come. Now that's actually the conference room on the left. That's he lives very close to our office. You could almost walk here. You see how happy he was. I mean, this is a retired oral surgeon who can wipe his rear end with $100 bills. After number 2. Yeah, but he thought a $50 bill and, popcorn and a balloon. I mean, he was just blown away. Look at that smile. I mean, and the guy on the right is a Firehouse Subs, great sub franchise, Firehouse Subs, and Rob on the right, I mailed it to him. And all I ask is when I put a handwritten note, when you get it, if you could have someone pop over with their cell phone, whether it be an employee or spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, take a picture and send it to me. And they're more than happy to do it. And we use that every month in our newsletter, and we send it out so it isn't the same person every month, showing us a referral. So
are you giving this to everybody who gives you a referral?
Yep, everyone who gets a quote. It's not, you can't just say, hey, call my buddy Bill, my buddy Joe, and my frat friend. No, they have to actually get a quote.
Okay.
A name isn't good enough. Yeah, they actually have to get a quote, whether we write them or not. The people could be complete clowns and ignore us or whatever. We don't care. We have to send the $50.
Good idea.
Sometimes the staff gets their panties in a bunch. They're like, oh, but whatever. But there's a newsletter for prospects. This is, you can see the call to action on the right of the two, showing the front end. The left is the front, the right is the back. Look at the call to action in the top right-hand corner. It's a prospect. Now, if they have a book already, oh, well, they have a book. What's the worst they could do? Say, I forgot about it, send me another. But it tells them, and then below that it says get a quote. So it just drip, drip, drip. And if people think that it's going to be like this mad rush to business every month, you will be wrong. But I'll give you a story. We had one on our pizza, if you will. That's the restaurant. But pizza prospects just drip, 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 drip. And right down the line, here's, right here. There's 11 book requests, 4 quotes out of it. But the best one ever was on the pizza. And they called, and there are 29 location Little Caesars in Virginia.
Gosh.
And we wrote them. Yeah. Realized revenues generated of over $20,000 on that account. So,
holy mackerel.
For spending, it cost us $1.67 per month to send a newsletter. So, you do the math on that. It's approximately $20 a year per prospect. And a lot of people listening may say, I can't afford that. Then just do a smaller list, okay? But if you can't, certainly if you don't have a client newsletter, yet alone a prospect newsletter, I say do them both, because you speak to clients differently than you do prospects, and you don't want your clients to feel like, oh, this guy doesn't care about me. All he or she cares about is selling new business, okay? On the flip side, you don't want a prospect to be like, he doesn't care enough. He's mixing it all together, and it's all watered down, and clients, referral program, how the hell am I going to refer this guy or gal? I'm not even a client yet. I don't even know if I like them. And it gives them almost a turn-off thing. So it's a different psychology for each of them, but it will work over time.
Well, now, and I'm sure it will. Now, you came up with this, and you said placement mailers, and I said, what the heck is a placement mailer, Matt?
Yeah, placement mailer, that's right out of...
Placemat.
That's right out of... Yeah, it's a placemat. It looks like a placemat at a restaurant, and you can make it, if you're going after Chinese restaurants, it's for... predominantly, you'll have your best success in the food industry. You could use it for other industries. I've tried it with the lawyers. Not as effective, because what works with lawyers, when I do a unique mailer with them, I'll mail a 9x12 file folder. It looks like a legal file folder, which you can seal it and put a stamp on it, and that's, lawyers still have file folders. So, but the placemat mailers are for food industry type deals where they'll be most effective, and you can tailor it. If it's an Italian restaurant, you like to have the red checks, the red checkered tablecloth looking thing. You have a fake coffee stain on it. You hand write it on the back. It looks like you sat down and wrote it at a restaurant. It's really a unique piece, and that's right out of the Dan Kennedy world. You can look that up online. If you look up Dan Kennedy placemat mailer, I believe you can find it. So we didn't have the slide for that, but that's what that is. Yeah.
Now, what is this?
Yeah, this is we have what I call my holiday emails. Anyone who's opted in, whether it be on LinkedIn or a prospect, we send an email, and we do it for chronologically New Year's, Valentine's, St. Patrick's, Tax Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July. We skipped August, Labor Day, 10/1, Halloween, 10/31. Then we skip to Thanksgiving. The reason why we skip the holidays, unfortunately, we live in a world where everyone gets offended. If this guy gets offended because it's Merry Christmas, and all the different, we live in a kind of a goofy world, so the best thing, is we all know on this call, is when it comes to politics and religion, I just, unless it's within my inner circle, I have no conversation about it. If someone tries to drag me into who do you vote for, I'm just like, hey, it's a loser. You can't win. You can't, because you don't know what the right answer is. So, I always say, when people say, I can't believe the two people running for president, I say, look, I believe so much in our democracy that if we put Bozo the Clown or one of my Labradoodles as president, we'll be just fine. And I really believe that, and that just kind of shuts it all down. And when people talk about, I say Merry Christmas to everyone, and I'm Catholic, so obviously I believe in Christmas. But the point is, I don't want to offend someone who's Jewish. I really don't. If they get offended easily, and we have one of my employees or partners, I should say, who runs the Life and Health Division, is a very devout Jewish faith. We have a lot of Jewish clients that are on personal lines, and I don't want to offend someone accidentally just because I don't know better. So that's why we go from the holiday email from Thanksgiving right into New Year's, because everyone's doing Christmas stuff anyway. They're not paying attention, so you're not missing anything with that. But every month this goes out on we use agency commands. Some people like Infusionsoft, some people like Aweber, but it's just and the PS is the call to action. And we've got it segmented to finish this up, George. We've got it segmented by those that have a book, those that don't have a book,
down here,
those that are clients. Yeah, so the PS right there, this would be a pizza person who doesn't have a copy of the book. That's the purest of all that's a true prospect. Then we've got another one where the PS, if they have a book, the call to action is to get a quote. And then the last one, what we do is if they're a client, then if they don't have their personal lines with us, the call to action, the PS is to get a quote for their personal line. If they've got everything with us, the PS is then a referral. So
boy, oh boy, you are segmented. Now is this you?
Yeah, that is me. Yep, there I am. I'm if you get into a niche like I have with lawyers, they're coaches. When I've referenced the names Michael Jans and Michael McLean, who certainly McLean very well, George, who speaks so highly of you, and vice versa.
Thank you.
The point is, there's coaches within your niches. There's there's numerous restaurant coaches. There's numerous pizza franchisee coaches. But in lawyers, there's numerous of them. And one who I think the world of, I'll use his name, R. John Robbins, out of Miami. He's a tremendous guy. He teaches. They don't teach lawyers how to run a law business in law school. They teach them how to practice law, so they come out technically proficient. But being technically proficient can make you a great employee of a law firm. But for those of us that have the entrepreneurial spirit, like us listening today on the call, running a business is a decidedly different world than being a technical, guru. So, great chef does not always make a great restaurant owner. Some of your best restaurant owners, will burn toast every time they put it in the toaster, but they know how to run a restaurant. And some of your best chefs, can't pay their bills. So I'm hooked in with this coach, and they have quarterly meetings, and I get to speak in front of hundreds of lawyers at a time, called Fishing with a Net, and there I am. That was, I think that might have been in Miami or LA, but they're always in cool places.
Boy, you amaze me. You've got, and then you're going to be in you've already been on
I've been the cover boy twice of the Independent Agent magazine. I've been featured in there
That's
like
wonderful.
7 or 8 times. But
wow.
Yeah, that was the restaurant. That was back in 2003 there. So, people say, hey, you look pretty much the same. So I'll take that as good Italian and Irish
Oh my gosh.
But,
wow.
Yeah. But that's pretty cool.
Hey, listen, it's wonderful. Now you also have Service Center, because I called a little while ago. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, service centers are back in 2008. We nationwide, as quiet as it's kept, they've always had a mark in the independent channel. They call themselves Allied Insurance, and that's being phased out. It's all becoming nationwide now.
Mm-hmm.
But they were the leader on that, and they said, hey, you've got super profitable personal lines book, but you've got it spread out with like 3 or 4 insurers. Here's the way we'll give you service free. We'll match your price at less 10% on everyone at worst, and if you do this book roll, they call it their ACO contract, and that's what we did. And we lost 21% of our personal lines book when we did that. So, for those of you that every time you lose a client, you're considering calling, the suicide hotline, I would not recommend this for you. But what I found is that service was a losing battle. Every time we grow, we'd have to hire another employee.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm anti-hiring employees, I'm not at all. But, whenever you bring an employee in, again, it is a changing world. And hey, man, you can't talk to me that way. No, you're not the boss of me. And it's like, no, actually, I am the boss of you. I literally am your boss. And they're like, oh, I guess, well, still, man, you can't talk to me that way. So dealing with employees has always been, and that's even more for my management staff. So I get it. So the less employees we have, the better. In the service center, we were able to actually cut some staff. And with that, with the 21% that we had leave, because as you can tell everyone listening, I am a numbers freak. You know, I love to count. You know, I like blackjack. I like anything with numbers. I'm a big numbers guy. I love reports. I love, you know, watching games and so-and-so's 5 for 12, you know, and whatever, and percentages and the whole 9 yards. And, you know, I'm a big numbers guy. So when we lost 21% of our personal lines revenues, what I noticed, though, of that 21%, 90, it was in the low 90s. It's been, you know, we're talking 8 years ago. Those were people we didn't want. They were the Pareto principle, if you will, and that's that 80%, 20% rule. And we did lose, let's call it 1 out of 10 to round it down, round it up, I should say. We lost 1 out of 10 that we, you know, it stunk because some people felt, what do I pay you for, man? And it's like, you pay me to make sure you're protected properly. And why do you want to wait that if someone's got the flu or someone's on vacation or we're in a company meeting or, you know, so-and-so is going tinkle in the bathroom, why do you want to play that game? Why? These insurers are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We no longer live in a 9-to-5 world. We live in a world of immediate gratification. And if someone wakes up at 2 a.m. with indigestion or they're traveling, you know, and they're out in California and it's midnight in California, but it's 3 a.m. Eastern time and they want to do this or they want to do that, long story short, it's one of those deals where they can get immediate service. So we ended up, it was the greatest thing we did. Even though we lost those revenues in 2008, the cutting of the staff and the morale lifting and boosting in here where we could become a sales office versus a service office, which is the big, you know, play. It just was the greatest thing in the world for us. I would recommend it to everyone and their brother. I don't care if you're urban located like I am or you're, you know, way out in rural world. People want to be connected, and you can do warm transfers. And if you do all those things, the handwritten cards, the birthday calls, you don't have to sit there and do, you know, a change of car. You know what I mean? That's that's a waste of your, to me, for my business model and my growth, what I want to do every year, it's a waste of my time. The insurance, the Tom Monahan model, that's why I use that. That's the founder of Domino's Pizza. Tom Monahan said, you know, the definition of success to him was hiring, you know, people who can do your job as well, if not better than you can, for decidedly less. And that's absolutely what the service center is. I mean, hell, decidedly less, it's free because we made that commitment to them to, you know, write all our personal lines with them. And personal lines is not like it was when I got in the business 29 years ago. You know, you could dial for dollars, smiling and dialing, you know, Kiwanis, Rotary. It was the hot thing. You know, today, personal lines has been commoditized. You know, that auto insurance, people, you know, it's all about price, price, price. And if you don't have a relationship with them, they're going to treat you, they're $14 less a year. I'm going to stay where I'm at, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, or, hey, they saved me $9, $108 a year, $9 a month. I'm going to switch to Geico. It's like, you don't have that relationship with them, they're gone. You know, it's all about price.
All right. Well, that's a great, I mean, that's a wonderful presentation right there you just did on service centers. I've been nervous about them all along, and because I grew up in the service area, and I see what a great point you made. I just didn't realize it until this moment. Well, I'm learning. Okay, March Madness. What's that all about?
March Madness. That's the V Foundation. You know, I'm an old, like you and I are a couple of old basketball guys, and Jimmy V, Coach Valvano recruited me, and it all started at Holy Cross, you know, the great, you know, back in the day.
Fabulous.
Tommy Heinsohn, you know. Yeah, you remember. That's, you know, and my father went to Holy Cross, and he was friends and roommates with Tommy Heinsohn, that is. And
I remember him,
greatest ever. Yeah, of course. That's, you know, that's your time. And what it comes down to is, you know, these are legends of the game that built the game for, you know, for Dr. J to Bird to Magic to Jordan and then on to LeBron and all these greats today. But, you know, there's a foundation in the game. But Coach Valvano, when he found out, you know, here I am, a kid from Ohio, and they're all, you know, Boston area kids. Holy Cross is outside of Boston and Worcester, Mass. And he sees this, you know, big dark-haired kid who can play. And, you know, Valvano and Vitale are both there at the camp as guests of George Blaney. And George was a great player at Holy Cross himself in the early 60s, and he was Calhoun's assistant when they were winning championships, you know, up to the last, you know, three they won in the last 15 years or whatever, but they're both retired now. But, there's these two, and I knew who Vitale was because he was the head coach of the University of Detroit, 50 miles north of Toledo, Ohio. So I'm like, and I was always a good player, and they pulled me in, they, dark hair. They said, "You Italian?" I said, "My mother's from Sicily." And, these guys, oh, my God, hey, one of us, and that's how it all began in the 6th grade. And they both followed me. And to this day, when Coach Vitale sees me, he'll hit me up on Twitter, and my kids and friends are like, "Dickie V just, like, hit you up on Twitter," and, and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we know, he's an old friend, but Coach Valvano was someone who I really adored. And he was everything. People, you never say bad things about the dead. I'm telling you, Coach Valvano, if he was alive, he would be even more beloved. And he was the real deal. He was a great human being. He was. There's no other way to put it. So when he died, that was, very personal to me. And, it's the old adage, as you get successful, it's imperative that you give back. And I was able to, we do this event the first Friday of March Madness, which, of course, they start at noon and they go to midnight. And I have it, a big hall is donated. And we used to do it at my office building. And last year we outgrew it. And this year we went to a hall. And I used to raise $5 to $10 grand. And this year I said, I'm just going to do it as little as I can. And, I didn't want to go really big with TV and that because I didn't want to overstep. I wanted to learn this year, like a dry run almost, George. And son of a gun if we didn't do 15,000 this year. And now that I know what needs to get done, where the strengths and the weaknesses are, I brought in 3, folks who are begging to be a part of it. And next year our goal is going to be $100,000.
Oh my golly, that's fantastic! Are you bringing them in to see the games? Is that what it's about? Or
yeah, we have 4 big screen TVs. We have board games, where you get to pick the final total, for the last number. It's called squares, for those of you that like to gamble. But we have all fight. It's a cash bar. All the food is donated. And next year, the first Friday of March Madness falls on St. Patrick's Day, so we'll throw a Jigs dinner in there, and that'll all be free. But it's a $50 minimum. Get in the door. We have people that donate thousands of dollars. Our insurance companies, I don't ask them, I demand from them, and and I'm grateful that they give. But we have to find a cure for cancer. Let's call it what it is. My wife is going through breast cancer as we speak. After the fact, this was not. This wasn't, my wife got sick and then I did this. The story just goes back to Coach Valvano. I used to always have a party on March Madness. I said, let's make it charity. Instead of just having a bunch of my old jock friends, meathead friends, come over and drink beer and just and have a day to watch the games. Everyone tends to blow that day off anyway. I said, let's do it for charity. And everyone's like, yeah, let's do it for charity. And that's what we've done. So,
man, that's wonderful. I had no idea, and I'm glad you told us. That's going to be a story of its own as we go forward here. And next year, incidentally, somewhere or another, I want to get. We'll work something out so we can. I might even break down and come on over as long.
Come on over, fly right into Detroit. It's a quick flight. You're right down the road. One of my sons pick you up. I mean, you'll get the limo treatment.
There you go. And you do serve booze, don't you?
Yeah, you better believe it. Got plenty of that. You remember, I'm half Irish. You heard that. So booze is a part of our culture. So
I know it. I'm half Irish too, but that's another story. And my background, I told him before. I told you, Michael, before that my background, my uncle and all were named Carroll. Same spelling, same everything.
That's right. You and I are related.
We might be related somewhere along the way. All right, what's this whiteboard here?
Yeah, the whiteboard. The whiteboard I'm looking at right now as I speak to you, and then right on my screen, the screen to the right, my whiteboard to my left as I speak. And what that is, every day I come in there, and that's kind of my, it's staring me in the face. It's got stuff written down, my marketing initiatives, my ideas and this, that, and the other. And when you commit something to writing and it stares you in the face every day, you can't hide from it. I've got personal goals, like in the bottom right-hand corner. My kids are all big athletes, so I used to play 40 rounds of golf a year back when I was a 5 handicap. Now I'm like a 10 handicap, but 10 rounds is plenty enough for me, pray daily and go to mass. It's really easy to say Sunday is a day where I'm just like wiped out, I'm going to take it easy and eat a good breakfast and watch some football, or, I deserve a day off. Well, if you can't go, to me, I just need to have that. So when I walk in all week and if I don't go to mass, I feel like a real, douche. I mean, it's like, come on, man, you can't give an hour to go to mass. Come on, you were raised better than that. But that's just my own thing. You know, obviously you don't, I don't think any less of anyone who does go to church. That's just important to me. But you've got the V Foundation, you know, on the right. 50,000 was my goal this year. You know, we had 15. But again, as that came up, you know, whatever, next year, the goal I'm looking at, it's $100,000. But it's got, you know, you've got each niche broken down: Insure Pizzeria, Purchase Agency, Social Media Campaign. Bottom left-hand corner, TBRO is the Best Restaurant Owners Insurance. Bronco is running that. Toward the top middle, that's all the exclusive programs I have. Phase 2, you know, nationwide with their LPL, you know, speaking at the American Bar Association solo lawyers, that's in the middle there. You know, all these different things that are very, you know, it keeps me on point, and it's all got dates. And when those dates come, you know, action needs to be taken. So it's if you don't have things written down, you know, it's just not going to get done. You know, it just won't.
So true. Yeah, I have a whiteboard in front of me too, as a matter of fact. But it's you remind me, I got to bring that thing up to date. But that's another story. Okay, we're just down to the end now. What is this? What is this?
Best practices. You know, we've been a top 200 performer.
Oh yeah,
out of 37,500 for the last 15 years. But twice in that span, in 2001 and again in 2013, we were awarded a top 6 performer. That's the highest.
That's like fantastic.
They give 6 first place guys, if you will, and their agencies are gals. I don't know if some are female. I'll just use the word guys as general. But my point is very simply that twice we've earned that, and that's the pinnacle for within our industry. And we're not the large. I don't want anyone listening to think, holy crap, this guy does. Like Stacy, who's my director of operations, her dad works for Hylant Group, you know, Hylant. They're a massive powerhouse.
I know them.
And they're great people. We're fine friends. They're first-class people. Her father's a high up the ladder executive there, and he's just a great guy, and the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree with his daughter, Stacy. But my point is very simply, you know, it's based on profitability and in your EBITDA and all that stuff. We are not doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year in premium or revenues, nowhere near that compared to Hylant, who would. You know, that's a monster. You know, that's a powerhouse. So there's different. They have revenues from they've got like from zero, like 250 to $1 million, $1 million to $5 million. It's based on revenues, $5 million to like 10, and then 10 to 25. There's like the 6 groups. I'm in the 1 to 5 million. You know, I think this year we jumped in the 5 to 10. But my point is very simply that it's one of those things that, you know, you don't have to think of this best practices and how you can enter this. And it's a great tool to use to substantiate who you are in the industry and measure yourself. More importantly, forget the accolades. And, you know, I walk around like you're the 12th man on, you know, playing for the Cavs. You know, who remembers you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who would you rather be, Charles Barkley or Joe Smith, who sat at the end of the bench for the Cavs this year? I'd rather be Charles Barkley. Maybe someone else had, you know, unless you're LeBron James or Kyrie Irving, who really, you know, or Kevin Love, who really contributed. To me, I'd rather be an all-time great like Barkley or Ewing, or, you know, that didn't win a championship. And just because you didn't win a championship is not an indication you weren't a great player. So I don't want anyone to get too caught up in, you know, this big award. Like, more importantly, with best practices, you get to measure where you're weak. It's all of the top agencies in an insurance company. One of your insurance companies will have to sponsor you, and you can see toward the right of the screen there some of the companies that participate. So for everyone listening, ask some of your insurance companies, are you a best practices participant? It's sponsored by the Independent Insurance Agents Association, so it is the big award. But ask if they are, and if they aren't, somehow find a way to be a part of the study, because if you do qualify, yes, it's one hell of an award to tout, but more importantly, if you don't qualify, you get to say like, whoa, our advertising budget is horribly low or way too high, or our staff costs or our servicing costs. It just breaks it down. And if you know, it's got to be for someone who really, you know, it's like going to the doctors and taking a physical. You know, it's not a good idea as you get, you know, over the age of 40 or 50 to just say, hey, I don't have any chest pains, I'm good. You know, no, it makes sense to go get a checkup every year, or every couple years at least. And for your business, I would hope you're getting a checkup once a year. I mean, we can't just let that go. So it's a great thing to do, and that's why I put that on.
Did you send this out to the world? I mean, tell all your people who you.
Yeah, we do. Oh yeah, we do it all the time. We promote the hell out of it. I mean, to almost to a point where it's almost impressive. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that was my very good friend over the years, Shirley Lukens, ran this. Of course,
Yes, she retired. I love Shirley.
Yeah,
Shirley is she's one of my favorite people in the world. She just retired. This was her first year out of it. Yeah,
I know. I worked with her for many years.
Oh,
at any rate, that's another story. And another story that you just said about sitting on the bench for the Cavaliers this morning. One of your guys signed with somebody else on the bench. I mean, he was a bench player, and I don't remember his name. He signed for $34 million. Did you read it? Yeah. Wait till you read the paper.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Oh yeah. No, I'm all up. I love all sports. But yeah, in fact, the Pistons signed a guy who was played like 9 minutes a game for the Spurs. 3 years, $21 million. A kid from Croatia. And,
oh gosh, I'm in the wrong business. We
started. Hey, I'm telling you and I. No, you know what our problem was, George? We were born too early.
I was born. But much further than that. So, okay, yeah. All right. Well, listen. Here's your big challenge: getting competent, hard.
Biggest challenge. Yeah, you got it. Biggest challenge is that you always we say all the things that work, and if someone's sitting there listening and saying, yeah, great, this guy, he's got the world by his tail, but my life sucks, and I'm struggling, and I'm, it isn't as. First of all, if I can do it, everyone listening, you can too. Just copy it. You're not, what is it? Copying or duplication is the greatest form of flattery, or whatever that cliche is. Just do it. As I shared, I gave credit to Kennedy and Jans and McLean and all those guys, and guys like you, George, and Press Diamond. It's just implementing it and then perfecting it to make it a part of whatever your style is. But we have challenges too, and as the service center is, was a great thing, because I find today, not to sound cynical, not to say like the world is going to hell and we've got to, no, I'm not saying that, but I do find that people just don't have the work ethic that I was raised with, or you were, George, what I like to call old school values. Am I a perfect guy? Hell no. I'm not saying that either. But one thing I am is a hard worker. And, all I ask from my staff is to show up on time, run through the day, always be honest. If you make a mistake, own it, and just keep it moving. That's all I ask. It's really not a big deal. I'm not a big one to harp on clothes you wear. I would prefer not to hire people who have tattoos or piercings. We're not going to have that in the office. But if you have a tattoo, cover it. And that, it's a different world, George. You and I are old, But my point is, but my point is very simply, just be a hard worker. Hard work makes up for so much of, what you don't have in talent. And just people today, they don't want to show up to work. They don't want to work hard. They don't take direction. They're very sensitive. Everyone's a victim. And I'm not saying everyone. I don't want to stereotype and generalize. But the biggest challenge we have is finding staff. And I'm pretty much insulated from that. I'm not down there, looking over people's shoulders. It's the Stacys of the world who are like, I'm going to throw him through the window. And I'm like, whoa, let's take a walk around the block. What's going on, And when it gets to that level, it's in case of emergency break glass. That's when I get involved. But, ultimately, and this is a 5'3", 120-pound girl, that's been with me for 11 years. So it's not like she's this big, mean monster. She's a little petite thing. So she's a hard worker. So anyway, but that's biggest challenge is finding staff, and whatever your challenges are, own them. Say it, talk to people, get around peers that are and don't have it be a bitch fest. Where, oh man, underwriters suck. Yeah, we all pretty much don't like underwriters. We get that, okay? And I don't mean that. There are some great underwriters, and we know it when we see them. And the majority of underwriting directors are incredible people, and there's some fine underwriters. I don't want to sound that, but we don't want to just have it turn into like I say, a bitch fest where everyone's just sitting there like, this industry sucks, man, and that's not going to help anything. But identify what your issues are, your challenges, and how can I overcome them. Someone will have the answers for you, because we all live the same life, with different variables, but we're all basically the same, folks as entrepreneurs within the insurance industry.
Well, I tell you what, as we conclude this session, I have to make some comments here. First of all, I have been doing this for a long time. I don't know how many years. This is the longest presentation that I've ever done. No, I didn't do it. You did it. The longest. Why? Because you have so much to say, and you have so much more to say, and that's it. It's fascinating. And I just decided, look, Mike has so many good ideas that if I cut him off short, I'm going to get shot. So I'm not going to do that. I am going to have you on again in a few months or something. We'll do more. But you, boy, oh boy, you would make a fantastic, and I know you've done it before, speaker to associations and groups. Having run the Tennessee and the Indiana Big I know exactly, what kind of speaker I'd like to have. So I'm just telling everybody. I don't know if you do that. Have you done it?
No, I do it for lawyer groups, but I've never within our industry. I've just never really, no one's really asked me. So
well, they're going to after they're going to after this, I bet you, and feel free to charge them incidentally. And then for that reason, it's just a wonderful presentation. Here's the way they can contact you. They might, Michael, and I know they can talk to you or Stacy. And that's a good idea, and they should if they want to, and I know you'll answer questions. But in the meantime, also, you and I have talked, and I'm glad to hear you've got this lawyers program, which we didn't go into in depth today. Let's do that in another few months here. But as you come out with that program, it's going to go nationwide, and it's designed by you. Tell us a little bit about it here.
Yeah, it's an exclusive program. I write nationally as it is, but I do it the old-fashioned way with, Hartford, Travelers, Hanover, Zurich. Who fits best, what fits best. We have secured an exclusive contract with Hanover where we've taken the best from everyone. For the best, the two great bells and whistles from Travelers and from Hartford and from Zurich, and we put it all onto this Hanover's policy. And, coverage-wise, protection-wise, as I like to call it, no one will have the contract that we have without getting into all the nuts and bolts. If that is a niche that fits for you, you'll recognize right away, like, you got to be really, wow, you'll be blown away. But then also the pricing is tremendous too. So,
well, what I want to tell you, I want to tell about them is that this is going to be a program that every agency listening here, every agency can use. You're going through a general agency in Chicago. We're going to have this. I want to tell everybody right now. This is going to be our lawyers. You call it lawyers liability or attorneys?
Yeah, lawyers professional liability. Yeah, lawyers professional liability.
That's going to be our program on Monday Morning Markets. You guys are going to be the sponsor of it, and you'll be hearing a lot more about it because we're going to be taking this and helping you guys market it, because we're going to have 1,600 agencies eventually throughout the whole country, and of which your agency is one. I know you guys are signing up to be one of the approved. It doesn't cost agents anything; they might as well do it. But this will be on the agent's website. I mean, you and I have we might have to make it a little shorter, though, I would think, but nonetheless, but it will be, and it'll be a great thing to sell. So I'm really pumped. You made me excited, Michael. I really, I appreciate it. Okay.
Outstanding. Yeah, and for everyone again listening, email's the easiest way to get in touch with me. If you prefer a phone call, we'll have to schedule a call. As George knows, I'm a moving target with kids, and Cheryl's getting over breast cancer and that. But my point is very simply, don't just call in. That's not going to work. Email and say, hey, what's your schedule like next week or a couple weeks from now? Throw a few times out, and I'll give you the. I love talking to my peers. Simply, we'll just schedule the time, and that's it. Or email's a great way to communicate. If it's something you feel you can communicate via email, but just don't call in, only because, as I like to say, we're a sales office, and I don't want to, how I would be a hypocrite, or you'd be like, this guy's full of crap. You just said they have all these business coming. We do, so you'll be boogering up our phone line. So my point is just email for a phone, and I'll give you the time of day. We'll schedule a call, and we'll answer the questions you can. And if it gets heavy into it, the only thing I'll say is, like I said, if you really want to put your money where your mouth is, don't pay me. Make a contribution to the V Foundation. Send it to my office payable to the V Foundation, because a lot of folks say, hey, man, I know you're not getting paid to do this, and they're sheepish, and maybe they had 12 questions, but they only asked 2, because they're like, this guy, God, he's giving me the time of day. If you want to literally pay for my time, make it to the V Foundation. Because
that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something else. I've never had that happen here on one of these interviews either. Well, but listen, maybe we better wrap it up. But I know we could go longer, and I know that you'll be happy to do more of these as we go further along the way. I just because I know who you are now, and it's been a thrill. So let's just leave it at that. And I'm happy again to have you, and I thank you on behalf of all of us, and for the rest of you. I'll see you again next Monday morning.